A solar farm does not become a different safety problem every time the project changes phase. Design decisions shape construction. Construction decisions affect commissioning. And the information handed over influences operation, maintenance, and eventual end-of-life work. The practical challenge is to keep one control system connected across the whole life cycle, even while people, plant, access, and work areas change. The Construction and Operation of Solar Farms Code of Practice, 2024, provides practical guidance in Queensland. It covers design, construction, commissioning, operation, maintenance, and end-of-life management. That jurisdiction matters. Queensland guidance must not be presented as one rule for every Australian workplace. For work elsewhere, check the current WHS or OHS regulator material and the requirements that apply where the work is carried out. Across the life cycle, risk management begins by identifying foreseeable hazards. Eliminate risks where reasonably practicable. Where elimination is not reasonably practicable, minimize them using the hierarchy of control. Then maintain the controls and review them when necessary. This is an operating cycle, not a one-off planning exercise. A control needs to keep matching the work and the conditions in which that work happens. Safe design looks beyond the build itself. It should address reasonably foreseeable risks during construction, commissioning, operation, maintenance, and end-of-life stages. That means design choices should be considered through the work they create for people later. The purpose of this film is not to perform a safe design review. It is to show why life cycle thinking belongs at the front of the control process. Design information also needs a reliable home. The Queensland Code says solar farm design documentation should be accessible from a central location and updated when new information or amendments arise. Accessibility and currency matter together. A central store is not the control by itself, and it does not replace competent decisions, supervision, or controls implemented in the field. It supports those activities with current information. Before construction work proceeds, planning needs to connect the real work with the real site. Ask how plant, access, isolation, services, and high-risk construction work will be controlled. Confirm that the arrangements people rely on match the current stage of work. This visual is only a planning illustration. It is not a site-specific work method, electrical procedure, isolation plan, or instruction for any real solar farm. For high-risk construction work at a Queensland solar farm, arrangements must ensure the work follows the SWMS, and that the SWMS is accessible to affected workers. The document and the work have to stay connected. This is not a claim that every solar installation or every task has the same trigger. The actual work and current jurisdictional requirements determine what applies. The Queensland Code identifies powered mobile plant used during solar farm construction as high-risk construction work for which a SWMS must be prepared before work starts. Keep that statement within its boundary. It is the Code's Queensland construction example. It is not a universal claim about every plant task in every jurisdiction. And this animation is not a SWMS for a real site. When the site moves into operation and maintenance, the control system must remain active. The Code says a solar farm safety management system should address competencies, access, isolation, vegetation, inspection, fault response, emergencies, consultation, and periodic review. A system document can organize those topics, but it does not perform them. Implementation, competent people, supervision, and effective controls are still required. Solar farms can involve remote or isolated work. Planning needs to cover effective communication, worker location, first aid, and access to emergency assistance. Those arrangements need to exist before they are relied on. This film does not provide a site-specific emergency plan or promise an emergency response outcome. It highlights the planning subjects identified by the approved Queensland guidance. The life cycle closes by returning to the risk management cycle. Maintain controls, review them when necessary, and keep design information current when new information or amendments arise. If the work, information, or conditions no longer match what the control system assumes, pause the handover of that assumption. Reconnect the current work, the current information, and the controls people are expected to implement. Remember the sequence. Consider the full life cycle, identify foreseeable hazards, use the hierarchy of control, keep design information accessible and current, connect Queensland high-risk construction work to the applicable SWMS, maintain the operation and maintenance system, and plan remote work support. This is general education based on Queensland Code guidance. Check current local, WHS, or OHS requirements. Generic visuals and documents do not replace implemented controls, competency, or supervision, and no video or safety system guarantees compliance, safety, emergency response, or legal outcomes. Get started free. https://app.bluesafeonline.com.au/register